Hey guys, welcome to my channel and a big thank you for clicking on my very first video. Hopefully this isn't my first and last video, but whatever the fate of this channel is, I'm just happy to have gotten this far. It's a journey I'm excited to embark on as I concluded a major one over the weekend. Now that I'm done with college, one of the big questions on my mind was, what's next? I figured, why not go for a YouTube channel? I also noticed as my semester was starting to slow down and I was reflecting on these last 6 years, I wondered about all the what ifs, all the if onlys, and all the had I just. So with those two thoughts in mind, I figured let's make a video about what I would have done differently and go from there about what other topics I want to share my experience on. And this video isn't just for those of you who are about to enter college, it's also for those of you currently in college, even graduates such as myself who are looking for closure on what could have been done differently and share the experience to help someone else. So relax, enjoy the Left 4 Dead 2 gameplay in the background, and here are the big things I do differently if I woke up, was 18 again, and it was my first day of college. First thing I do differently is make more friends and be way more social than what I originally was. And I understand that not all friendships are meant to last forever, but there were way too many times in college where I was lonely, had no one to talk to, and felt isolated and felt like I didn't belong. I dealt with it almost all of community college and again during my senior year in undergrad. It's just something I wish I worked harder to break. I think the regret really hit best this past year in March when my girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me. It was shocking and stressful. I really wanted to work things out and asked her to reconsider, but she said she needed time to think about it. And those 2 weeks of waiting were horrible. I was moody at my internship, grumpy, didn't want to talk to anyone, and just found myself in my lonesome. I didn't have any friends to turn to, didn't really have any connections or a good friend to turn to and tell them about what was going on. My coworkers at my internship, I had just met everybody and we weren't really close. And then my family, I've never been the type to open up at home. It would have been strange. So there was that. In the end, she still broke up with me and I was single. After the breakup though, I finished my internship on a high note and I looked forward to returning later in the summer. In the meantime, I had my first two pair of grad school classes waiting for me. Little did I know how isolating those classes and grad school in general would be. I had no one to talk about the breakup or how I was feeling handling the stress of grad school and the noticeable level up in academic challenge it was. For sure, rock bottom was when I went 5 days with no human interaction. I didn't even mutter a word to myself during those 5 days. And I mean, not just those 5 days either. There was multiple days where I just wake up, go to the library, do some homework, return home by midnight, rinse and repeat the next day. It was depressing. I'm gonna be honest, I felt unloved and I felt like a failure. The first rare morning I had to myself, I remember I was drinking tea and I was just watching the sunrise, taking in the cool spring air before it got hot later that day. And I was just thinking about all the great classmates I met, but never stayed in touch with them. I had chosen to focus instead on my girlfriend. So, I'm just sitting there, soaking in the loneliness, and I just came to one conclusion. I made a mistake by not putting more effort into making or finding more friends. Having a group of friends, or just one friend to grab a drink with, play some basketball, or just talk to would have made a big difference during that tough time and many other tough times. I also reflected on the friends I had made at a local Catholic parish, people who had since graduated and moved away. However, I didn't stay in contact with them. I became less involved in the parish semester by semester since, quote, I was getting too busy. I realized I had missed out on having a community to lean on during this tough time. Another thing about those mornings on the patios, it made me reflect on times I didn't feel so lonely and connected with others. Moments like being invited to parties by old friends or colleagues and just making memories by, dancing, drinking, laughing, playing some games, or just enjoying one another's presence. I thought about some of the cool bros I'd made at work when we would trade stories, talking about crazy customers or rude coworkers getting put in their place, or when we would troll back and forth with the manager. I still thought about some of those classmates I mentioned earlier, joking around with them after class or just simply chatting with them. And not just them, even strangers in campus or just in town in general. Even if I never saw these people again, it made a big difference. In my experience, just chatting with people about anything and everything brightened my mood. It didn't matter if the conversation was serious, silly, or somewhere in between. Again, even if those connections didn't last in the long term, or at all, it would have been worth it just to not feel so alone for a pocket of time. On the flip positive side, I am happy and blessed with the great friends I have at the current moment. Thankfully after that rough start to the year, I made some new connections at work, at school, and reconnected with some old contacts over the summer. So for sure, if I could do it all again, I'd be way more open to my classmates, my college town, the communities here on campus, or the town in general. And yeah, and aside from helping my mental health, it would have been nice to have been buddies with some of the smarter guys and gals in my class. I also wish I'd stayed involved with the local parish and been more dedicated to the school club I joined. no matter what. Even if my girlfriend at the time didn't vibe with those groups or people, I should have stuck with them anyway. Even if that meant taking a pay cut by working a little less or adjusting my schedule to make some time, pick up maybe 4 extra hours on a Monday to make up for the other days where I'm leaving work early. Losing some cash might have sucked, but hey, some experiences can't be bought. And that would be the core thing I tell an 18-year-old me. And I tell him right after that, start those conversations. You never know who might turn into a lifelong friend or a great ally in the journey. All right, number two, balance around school. It's funny that this video almost didn't exist thanks to a couple of my final classes. Mixed with some senioritis and procrastination, this video could have been uploaded next May or even December of next year. At the start of this final semester, I thought I had it all figured out. I only have to go into class 2 days a week. Most of the work can be done from home. There's no way that this semester is going to be a challenge, right? I mean, it's the last one. Why make anything difficult? I think it's a feeling some of you sports fans can relate to whenever everything's lined up perfectly for your favorite team. As of writing, the LA Galaxy are favorites to lift MLS Cup, and I already think we've won it, even though we still gotta beat Seattle and then face either New York or Orlando City. And that's the same hubris that defined the start of my semester. I was planning my victory lap, imagining how easy everything would be, until reality hit me like a slap in the face. A poor performance on a group project shook me awake. I'll never forget that meeting. We were the last group called for feedback, and I was relaxed. I trusted my group mates, who had done, I would say, about 66% of the work, and figured we'd be fine. And then the professor opened up the folder, looked at our project, shook his head, and just flat out said, "This is the worst project I've seen all semester." And we're group 16, so that also didn't make me feel better. And all I can remember after that was just all the screaming of profanity in my mind. I left the room panicking, and I was terrified. I thought I'd really blown my shot at graduation. And yeah, I drove home after that, parked in my driveway, and I just started screaming F-bombs like crazy. If I didn't get my act together, I was really going to fail my graduating semester and embarrass myself in front of my family, friends, and classmates. To make things worse, my professor didn't post live grades, so I had no idea how bad my grade was or what to expect from future assignments. I couldn't plug in a what if grade and then Canvas would project, oh, you would get a 78 or a 82% overall if you do this, that, and the other. But yeah, the next 6 weeks after that, it was brutal. But it forced me to face the hard truth. Misplaced priorities had sabotaged me for years, and failing to put school first at all times blew up in my face more often than not. Studying is not a passive activity. It's challenging and often made harder by procrastination, distractions, low ambition, or a lack of confidence. For me, procrastination wasn't laziness, it was fear. I doubted my ability to understand the material, so I avoided it entirely sometimes, making the problem worse. And I am not a quick learner either. The lectures, readings were time consuming, and they rarely clicked for me. Instead, I relied way too much on homework hints, video tutorials, flipping between slides and the textbooks to piece together answers. It wasn't learning, it was survival, and it destroyed my confidence. Looking back, what would have helped was starting each semester with a clear direction and intent. Too often my priorities were scattered. One semester I'd spent hours in the gym and planning meals only to abandon it all when schoolwork piled up. I was busy, but not productive. That frustration bled into my self esteem and relationships. I felt like I was failing, not just in school, but in life. I wasn't learning enough to feel proud of my efforts, and some semesters were reduced to doom scrolling or binge watching YouTube after class or work. Not all of my semesters were disasters, though. In the ones where I prioritized school, the peace of mind was incredible. Finishing work early, knowing I had the rest of the week free, it felt like winning, but those victories often led to complacency. I'd assume every semester would be that easy, only to fall behind again. If there's one word I wish I embraced earlier, it's balance. And my advice to my 18-year-old self built off that word would be, figure out the flow of college, put your head down, look at your laptop, get your work done. Whatever you want to do after class, fun, hobbies, or side projects, do it in bite-sized pieces. Don't kill yourself with unrealistic goals or beat yourself up for not improving as fast as you'd like to. Enjoy the fun moments, but don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Finish school strong. Over time, you'll get experience, confidence, and a rhythm that allows you to balance school with other passions. All the while, you'll be crushing your classes and achieving things you never thought possible. Remember, balance isn't about doing it all, it's about doing the right things at the right time. Trust the process, take some small steps, and let those efforts add up to big results. And most importantly, you gotta believe in yourself. I was in community college for about 2 years, and after that, I transferred to my current university. When I transferred out here, I originally wanted to be a commuter for the entire 4 years. Paying rent sucks, having roommates sucks, leaving my family sucks, but by the third week of fall 2022, I hit my breaking point. The long drives left me too exhausted to focus on my homework or enjoy my evenings. I'd come home ready to crash, only to face a pile of assignments waiting for me. It also wasn't just the exhaustion, it was also about responsibilities. Finances were becoming a challenge, and I felt it was my turn to ease the burden on my parents. They'd spent over 2 decades providing for me and my brother, and they weren't getting any younger. I wanted them to focus on getting my brother through college while I started standing on my own, thus begun the search of my new apartment. The move was abrupt. There was no proper goodbye, no send off party, just a rushed transition into a new chapter. At first, I hated it. I missed my parents, my brother, and the comfort of home. Sharing a space with others felt miserable, and I struggled to see this town as anything but a pit stop. But 2 years later, I've come to love this place and the lessons it's taught me. Looking back, I wish I'd made the move during summer of 2020, right after I was accepted to this university. The pandemic and remote classes would have been the perfect time to adjust being away from home, find new routines, and get over the initial wave of homesickness. There was a lot I missed about being home that you fail to recognize until you're gone. For example, my mom's cooking, her novellas playing in the background, my dad chilling on his computer or fixing something around the house, or my brother, cracking up at some video on YouTube. Those were comforts I had to replace, and it wasn't easy. Finding new routines was a slow process. Where could I go for walks like I used to with my dog? Where could I play basketball? Which library or cafe would become my new study spot? Even practical things like where to buy furniture or the best places to eat felt overwhelming at first. The key was making this place my home, not just a spot to crash at night. And I failed to do that during my first semester here. I treated my apartment as a temporary shelter rather than a place to grow. My fall 22 semester was a near disaster because I hadn't embraced my new environment. I'd spend all day drained from class and work, only to come home to an empty room with white walls, small desk, and a twin bed. On weekends, I'd drive an hour back home, spend a day with my family, then rush back for Monday classes. Compare that to my community college days where everything was in proximity. Campus, home, work, they were all within a short drive, and I had access to my professors, my home with my kitchen, I could cook, and other comforts I'd come to love. When I'd moved here, I'd lost that support system, and I wish I'd recognized it sooner instead of being stubborn and not wanting to embrace this place as home. Moving sooner also would have saved me hours of commuting, giving me easier access to resources and allowed me to connect with my professors and classmates more fully. I could have attended career fairs, seminars, and networking events that would have set me up for bigger success earlier. But even with routines and opportunities, there was one challenge I couldn't avoid: my mindset. No matter how well things were going externally, I struggled with my own insecurities. And I would like to say my final battle with insecurity came around the winter break from fall 22 to spring 23. I just got rejected from grad school. I had a rocky relationship, a living situation I hated, little to no money, and feel like I didn't have any clear direction. On the flip side, for the first time since high school, I had unlimited free time, but still, I felt completely stuck. All I could do was reflect and ask myself, what's next? More failure or something better? And during that winter break, that's when I had a breakthrough. One night, during a closing shift at work, it hit me. I don't know what it was, but I just realized I'm in a totally new world. No one knew who I was here. No one had preconceived notions about me. And if I wanted to reinvent myself, this was my chance. It was like a reset button had been handed to me. This town became a canvas where I could paint a new narrative, free from the baggage of my past. And that shift in perspective changed everything. I got my farm tech license, thrived at an internship that led to a job offer, earned my bachelor's degree, got into grad school, reconnected with my family during some amazing transformative vacations, made new friends, built connections, and for the first time, felt like I was in control of my own story. The labels I once carried began to fall away one by one. So yeah, this journey taught me that growth comes not just from where you are, but from the courage to make a place your own. Moving out was the first step towards becoming the person I was meant to be. And if I could tell my 20-year-old self anything, it'd be this: just go. Just go. Forget about everything that didn't happen here in our hometown and just focus on what you can. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it for the person you're meant to be. Without this move, none of what you'll accomplish or want to accomplish will be possible. The biggest influence about taking finances seriously, without any doubt, has been my father. In many ways, his lessons shaped not only my values, but also why I find accounting enjoyable and probably why I made it my career. Growing up, the big three lessons about money he always emphasized to me and my brother were: number one, nothing in life is free, not even the air or water. Number two, you need money to have fun. And then number three, money is a tool. It's not a god or end all be all, but it's a tool to solve problems and make life a little easier. The summer before my first semester of college, I had no idea what I was doing financially. How was I going to pay for school? Should I stay at Wendy's or look for something new? Should I even work at all during college? What didn't help either was that for some reason, my junior and senior year of high school, my school had bombarded all the students with horror stories about student debt. Those famous ABC or NBC interviews of like some random guy or woman in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars of debts. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish, to be honest, but if it was to terrify us, mission accomplished, because boy, I was terrified. I really thought that when I was going to transfer to my university, I really thought it was going to cost an exuberant amount of money, but man, it was so affordable. In any case, determined not to become another statistic, I vowed to pay for college entirely out of pocket. I wanted to, quote, stick it to the system. At first, I was lucky. Grants from the federal government covered all my community college expenses and even left me with some excess funds each semester. I didn't waste that money either. I saved it and eventually invested it into a business. Looking back though, I wish I had simply put it into a savings account for emergencies. When I did transfer to my university, I was still determined to pay for everything up front. And I did for about 2 years, but my savings burned quickly. I was paying about 4 to 5K a semester. But as each semester went by, funds from my grants or my business or part time jobs were just evaporating. Rock bottom came when I had no money left in my bank account. My school was getting on me, sending me notifications that I missed a payment. My girlfriend at the time offered to pay my tuition, but I declined. And that's when I accepted reality I was going to have to take out some loans. If I could go back, I'd handle loans a little differently. I'd avoid private loans altogether and maximize what the federal government offers. Reason being is because I remember when I took out my first federal loan, I received about $5,000 excess cash. My initial plan was to pay it back immediately since I felt I didn't need it. But then I thought about it and thought about all the unexpected expenses I'd had recently. Car repair payments, hospital bills that insurance didn't cover, or summer semesters when financial aid fell short and didn't give me anything at all. So that money became my safety net, and I'm glad I held on to it. But I also knew relying on it solely was not going to be sustainable. Unexpected expenses can drain those reserves quickly. And so that's how I ended up finding myself transitioning from part-time to full-time at my college job, which was up with Kroger Pharmacy. And that jump from full-time was tough. I'd only been a farm tech for about 3-ish months, and the job is not easy. Dealing with frustrated customers, managing complicated insurance systems, pharmacy law, strong managers, or a-hole coworkers. It was hell sometimes. But I stuck to it to prove to myself that I could thrive, even in a role outside my comfort zone as an accounting student. Before Kroger, though, I tried running a cleaning franchise with those excess funds I mentioned earlier from my grants. It was a valuable learning experience, but it taught me that timing and capacity matter. Managing both school and a business stretched me way too thin. In the end, I chose my degree over the business, sold it, and was back to square one. And that's how I ended up joining Kroger as a company, initially as a cashier, but eventually transferred over to the pharmacy. Looking back, I wished I'd skipped the business altogether and focused on becoming a pharmacy tech right after high school. Starting sooner would have given me stability, experience, and the chance to build a solid foundation instead of hopping between jobs my first 3 years of college. Not to mention, Kroger Pharmacy offered significant benefits, flexible hours, respectable pay, and a fairly positive work environment. And yeah, with my pay, I was making about $20 an hour, very respectable and very manageable for a college student. Not to mention, we also get holiday pay, making those checks even sweeter. Aside from the respectable pay, I also enjoyed having PTO. It was the first time that I ever had a job where you were offered vacation hours, and I used it to the maximum. However, while I did use it for vacations, I regret not leveraging it for study days. Taking a paid day off just for one Monday or Friday would have made a big difference. That's an extra 8 to 10 hours dedicated to catching up on homework, highlight something you don't understand in class, email professor for help, or test yourself to see if you actually understand the material. Another missed opportunity was Kroger's 401k plan. If I would have started straight out of high school, even small contributions over 6 years would have provided me a stronger financial foundation after college in regards to saving for retirement. But, despite these missed opportunities, I'm grateful for my time as a farm tech. It molded me into a well-rounded professional, introduced me to incredible people, and prepared me for success in my internships, which were another game changer. My internships gave me financial independence with much higher pay and helped me align my work with my degree and long-term career goals. Looking back, I wish I'd applied to more of them, not just for the pay, but for the experience and networking opportunities. I was a little bit lucky to have gotten 2 more internships after my first one, after a lot of begging, to put it lightly. But again, I'm super grateful that my company allowed me to come back 2 more times. I think what would have made it easier is if I would have just applied for those spots ahead of time, since they hire interns a year in advance. So while Kroger provided stability, internships offer the chance to build my future and make the jump to a full-time associate smoother with the experience behind my back post-college. With all that said, to put that all in a nice bun, if I could tell my 18-year-old self anything about his finances and working, I'd tell him this. It's not as bad as you think. You're not going to owe hundreds of thousands of dollars after college, and debt isn't an enemy. It's a tool. It's a tool that can go wrong, but it's also a tool that can go really good. And don't worry about community college, it's going to be covered by grants. So don't waste the opportunity either, because it's not your money. For work, follow mom's lead and become a pharmacy tech. Start building your 401k, and if you're curious about investing, stock options, or day trading, whatever, open a Roth IRA on the side and use the paper money function on TD Ameritrade or study, whatever. Most importantly though, take it slow. Maybe skip your first semester to adjust to college life. But once you're ready to ease into it, maybe work 10, 15 hours a week and gradually increase your hours. And by the summertime, you'll have a solid rhythm. And most importantly, don't forget, we don't come from money. There's no trust fund waiting for us. But that's fine. Working doesn't mean you can't have fun. With some cash in your pocket, you can take a girl out or catch a game with friends. I know money's been a source of chaos growing up, but now it's our turn to take control. Trust me, the independence you'll gain from taking care of yourself is worth it. And don't forget, we're independent by nature, just like mom and dad taught us. So get after it. And if you made it this far, I want to thank you guys again for watching. It really means a lot. But I'm also curious to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments. Are you about to enter college? How do you think you'd handle these situations? What plans or ideas are starting to form? Are you in the middle of college, sophomore, junior? What's worked for you so far and what hasn't? My fellow graduates, am I on point with what I'm saying? What would you do differently if you could start over? And once again, this video is just about sharing my experience. It's supposed to be a template, not necessarily a rule book or giving out explicit advice. I know everyone's challenges and journeys are dramatically different, but I hope this got your guys' mind spinning and inspired yourselves to set yourself up or someone else up for success. And there is so much more about college I'd love to talk about. And obviously, all these topics, these are just summations. I would have loved to have gone in so much more depth, but if this channel isn't going anywhere, and if you guys are still here, then we got plenty of time and chances to talk about it all. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and take care.